All right, so this is big time. Two videos today. Today is just going to be a story. Curious what everybody thinks. But so I've recently started going back to church because all I see around me seems to be evil. You know, when I see doctors at a conference talking about they can make $100,000 off of a phalloplasty. And if you don't know what that is, that's when they take the skin grafts of a girl's forearm and create a artificial penis. When doctors at a convention talk about how much money they can make off of one surgery, that doesn't sound like helping children or patients to me. It sounds like mammon. And mammon is the worship of material wealth. When I see a statue in New York City that basically looks like a devil, and they say this is to praise abortions or the murdering of children, I worry. I'm not even going to talk about the fucking Grammys. I don't watch the Grammys. I don't even listen to, I stopped listening to rap when I was 14. Like I saw my first drive by at 20. So, not exactly something I want to glorify. But I was in church and I don't know how I'm gonna feel about this, but so I'm just gonna tell a story. So they had a guest speaker who's like a pastor in training. I don't know the terminology, resident or something. And they told the story about how they had a Middle Eastern guy who was trying to be a Christian and was trying to build a church. And unfortunately, I don't remember if they were in the Middle East or if they were in America. I think they were in the Middle East, and this guy is like a missionary. He's a Christian missionary. He's a Middle Eastern dude, and he was in a restaurant with a bunch of other Middle Eastern men. And this guy was talking to the Middle Eastern men, so probably like five or six other people, trying to convert them to Christianity. Basically saying Christianity is better than Islam. Now I'm not going into that. That's not what this story is about. What I'm going to talk about is this part. While this Middle Eastern guy, who's the missionary, was talking to these other men, one of the other Middle Eastern men, they were eating soup. The missionary was eating soup, and the soup had pork in it. So one of the Middle Eastern men, suddenly sitting next to the missionary, reaches over with his hand, reaches into this guy's soup, takes his pork right out of his soup, and eats it right in front of him. And he said, "Look, now I'm a Christian." And the uh, the resident pastor, whatever, who was telling the story was like, "Isn't that amazing? Look how the Middle Eastern men have overcome their religion of Islam to become Christian. Isn't that amazing?" And everyone in the audience was like, "Oh, wow. Oh, that's amazing. Oh." And I'm sitting there and I was like, "What the fuck? That's not what that was. That's not what happened." Let me give another example. You know why you can't be white and wear a hat backwards or flip flops on the Broad Street line in Philly? And you especially can't be with a girl, a pretty girl who might have her tits hanging out or something. Let me tell you something I saw well over 10 times on the subway in Philly. Physiognomy check here. You might see a weak looking white guy, thin, pale, glasses, flip flops, and he might be sitting with a girl. And what's a usual thing to happen is if there's not a lot of white people on the subway, if you're by yourself, like past 11 o'clock, and maybe you're going past Cecil B. Moore, going deeper into the heart of North Philly, You have some young black youths coming on the train. What happens is you can't sit somewhere where they can get behind you. That's bad. You need to always have your back to the wall. Don't sit in the corner chair. I prefer this. I prefer the side seats that you can face out. You know, like the right next to the doors. Never, never sit in the corner seat. Bad idea. And don't sit where someone can get behind you. That's bad too. But what happens is these guys will come in and they'll surround you and they sit all around you. And then what happens is they stare at you and then they start talking to your girl. And they'll be like, hey, what are you doing with this guy? Why are you with this loser? Why aren't you with me? Or my favorite, what that mouth do? That's my favorite. What they're trying to do is they're trying to start a fight. They're trying to provoke a response. And more than 4 times, I've seen young black kids, I mean young, like 12, reach out and touch the girl. Like I literally saw a young black kid, like 14, put his hand in the girl's shirt and just fondle her breast right in front of her boyfriend. It's a sign of dominance. It's the equivalent of him zipping down his fly and pissing on your face. Do you understand? You ever watch Animal Planet? You ever watch any sort of hunt on TV on the Discovery Channel? Who eats first? When a bunch of lions, when they kill a gazelle or antelope or wildebeest or whatever fucking animal, whatever herbivore, whatever, the king, the alpha, eats first, right? Hell, you ever watch The Lion King? Scar ate before the hyenas. Remember? That's Disney. You didn't learn this fucking lesson from Disney? So, I mean, that's what happened. This fucking guy is telling a story about how a bunch of men were playing with one of their own, were playing with the Middle Eastern missionary. He put his hand in your food, took it from you, and ate it in front of you, and all of his friends laughed at you. That wasn't them converting, you stupid fuck. That was them showing you they don't respect you. That was them showing you you don't matter. And at any time, they can take your shit. That's all that was. And I just couldn't believe that so many people in my church thought that was a good story. They were like, "Oh, wow, that's so impressive." Oh, and maybe, and it's not to rag on these people. These people seem like good people. My church does a lot of good. A lot of people donate their time and money to shelters and foster and women with pregnancies and giving clothes to homeless people and food to homeless people. And I mean, I'm actually at a church that does a lot of shit to help a lot of people in need. But I don't think any of these people have been in a ghetto. I don't think any of these people have lived around black crime. I don't think any of these people have lived maybe in like Allison Hill in Harrisburg, or maybe they've ever lived in Philly or any ghetto. I don't think they've ever been around an open drug market. I don't think they've ever lived next to a drug dealer. I don't think they've ever seen a gang day to day just do stupid, hood shit. I mean, I'm here trying to learn to save my soul and try to go somewhere to try to find, some kind of community where people can have similar values and beliefs and get together and say, look, man, there is something on this earth worth fighting for and worth saving, trying to see the value in life. I'm really trying to see that. I really, really, really am. Because like I said, all I see is evil. That's all I see. And people, and worst, people profiting off of evil. That's all I see. And to hear this guy tell this weak ass bitch story, it was disheartening, man. It really hurt. And I mean, I don't know what to think about it. I was thinking maybe it's egotistical, like, well, maybe what's happening is instead of sending the church to me, maybe there was a reason I was sent to this church, you know? Maybe that's just me being fool of myself, but I mean these people are going to lead the way. These people are going to save us. They can't even tell when someone isn't even taking you seriously. They can't even tell when they're being pissed on. I mean, again, like, I hate that comparison when somebody says, "Oh, you've lived a very sheltered life." What does that mean? I live a very sheltered life. What does that mean? I haven't lived in a ghetto. I haven't been around drug dealers. I haven't had to run from black kids who were trying to chase me. Is that what you mean? I haven't, like, I used to have to walk to work at 4:30 in the morning, and there used to be herds of kids who'd be walking around Philly in especially in the summertime. 4:30 in the morning. You ever see 50, 60 black kids just walking down the street? I'm a grown ass man and I would hide. I can't fight 50 kids. Am I not sheltered because I had to learn how to hide? Am I not sheltered because I had to learn how to silence my footsteps walking past the bathrooms at the college where the drug dealers would hang out so they wouldn't hear me? Is that privilege? Is that not being sheltered? Is it really such a terrible thing to live in a community where there's no crime, a homogenous community where you can keep your doors unlocked and everybody knows each other's name and nobody's coming into your neighborhood and there's no drive-bys and there's no drug dealers? Is that that's sheltered? You're not in fear every day of your life. You're not in fear of your children. That's sheltered. I don't know. It seems like a lot of people where I go to church have that life where maybe they haven't had to worry about these things. So maybe they haven't had to think about them and really take a look at what's happening. Maybe they haven't had to have that world shoved in their face and had to live in it. And I guess I'm thankful for that for them. But at the same time, that's just those just seem like people who would just be prey. They will always give you the benefit of the doubt. They will always wear their heart on their sleeve. They will never think that they're being betrayed. And even if they are betrayed, they'll still forgive you. I don't know. Tell me what you think. Leave a comment down below. I'm big time.